Well, the president has certainly satisfied his most ardent supporters today, but the question remains on whether that can translate nationally. Already today, another House Democrat has said that he should step away from the race. Is it worth potentially a government shutdown in the future to fix those things?
We have to do something.
Just 10 days ago, when 27-year-old Christian Watt was shot and killed inside a grocery store just 2 blocks away. If you thought tonight was crazy, just wait until February the 9th when the Eagles play for it all. And where can you watch that game?
The Democratic nominee for president appeared for a conversation with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Fox 43's James Corrigan was at the event. He's live in Chester County this evening with details of what the vice president said and who the message was intended for.
Well, Evan, this message clearly was tailored towards independents and Republicans who may have voted for Trump in the past, but are now hesitant to vote for the former president. The location of this, also no accident. The Harris campaign knows that this election can be won or lost in the Philadelphia suburbs, and she brought along Donald Trump's chief Republican critic to help spread her message. Vice President Kamala Harris appeared with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney in Chester County with a message designed for independents and Republicans leaning against her opponent, former President Donald Trump, in saying that she will be a president for all, regardless of party.
It is not about the individual. It is not about what is in their personal interest. It is about what is for and in the spirit of the public good.
One such Republican supporting Harris is Cheney herself, the daughter of former Vice President Dick Cheney. She says she endorsed Harris because of her adherence to her conservative principles.
The most conservative of all conservative principles is being faithful to the Constitution. And you have to choose in this race between someone who has been faithful to the Constitution, who will be faithful, and Donald Trump.
Cheney says Trump's actions on January 6 disqualify him from returning to the White House. Other Republican supporters of Harris say Cheney's presence on stage is vital to convincing their peers to cross party lines.
Liz Cheney is as conservative a Republican as you can be, and for her to come out and support Kamala and go barnstorming across Pennsylvania today, I think that's really important. I think Republicans need to see this.
Harris responded to questions from the audience about child and elder care, along with maternal care, and says her presidency will look to move beyond the division she says has been caused by Trump's rhetoric.
It is not productive of us to be a nation of people who are pointing fingers at one another, who don't understand that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us.
Now, former President Trump directly responded to today's event in a post on social media. He called Liz Cheney a, quote, war hawk. He brought up her father's support for President Bush's invasion of Iraq back in 2003, and he says that a vote for Trump is a vote for peace in the Middle East. Harris and Cheney have an event currently going on right now out in Michigan. They have one more later on today in Wisconsin as the election sits just 15 days away. Live in Chester County, I'm James Corrigan with Fox 43 News.
The York Group Violence Intervention Program has been credited with helping the city reduce gun violence by more than a third. And Fox 43's James Corrigan is live now to give us an inside look at the group helping to reshape the city of York.
And they sure are, Amy, and the proof is in the numbers. Last year, the city saw a 75% reduction in the number of homicides, a 63% drop in the number of people struck by gunfire, and a 50% decrease in shots fired incidents. That's thanks in part to its Group Violence Initiative program, which has become a model for communities across the country. We went inside the GVI program to show you what happens on the front lines in the fight against gun violence.
Yeah, you can get some of this love too. What else?
For some, it's just a simple hello.
If you give me the high five, you can get dig in.
But for Tiff Lowe, every hello is an act of defiance.
They retaliate using gun. I retaliate using love. So I sit in my anger, and then I retaliate with coming out with positivity, love, and resources.
Her form of retaliation is against gun violence and crime in the city of York. And she has a team of retaliators behind her as the project manager of the York Group Violence Intervention Program. GVI was conceived in 2016 and has evolved into a community partnership with law enforcement aimed at preventing gun violence. What was once an idea is now a multi-pronged machine, with Lowe as its beating heart.
We put our boots on the ground. We got in the field. And once you get in the field, you understand what needs to be done. You cannot understand what needs to be done if you're sitting behind your desk.
That wasn't always the case before Lowe joined the program in 2021 after a career as a hall monitor and teacher's aide in the York School District. There, she learned the value of connection with young people and the speed at which many of them can be cast aside.
Society will be quick to throw them away by judging them from their mistakes. But what society forgets is the same mistakes that these young adults are making, a lot of us have made them. This is why I go so hard to save these young people's lives.
She goes hard through a three-pronged approach of community, services, and traditional law enforcement in order to reach those seen as being at risk of committing a crime. The community aspect involves outreach like the group's Stop That Walk in June, done in an effort to make children feel safer in their neighborhoods. Services include Job Corps, mental health initiatives, and education, such as the new scholarships to hack schools for those impacted by gun violence on both ends. All three layers come together each week to discuss individual residents who they see as being a potential candidate to commit an act of violence. Fox 43 was allowed access to one of these weekly meetings where they discuss interactions with some of these residents.
He seemed receptive the time we went and met with him and had a conversation. Towards the end of the conversation, he was starting to talk a little bit more.
It's sad because if we don't get a hold of this young man, it's not going to be a pretty ending.
The group sets out to reach these residents every week in a practice called Customs, where all three layers of GVI come together to go to the homes of someone who was involved in a recent incident, even in a small way, to let them know that help is available in the form of services. We followed the team to the home of a young man rumored to be involved with the wrong people, and heard the GVI team make its pitch to help him turn his life around.
If you continue going down the pattern you're going down and hanging around some of the people you're hanging around, there's nothing I could do but come see you at the prison. Or worse, at a funeral, and I don't want to do that. Our goal is to keep you safe, alive, and free by doing anything possible. So what we was able to do was to get grant funding to offer scholarships. You call that number right now, we officially now work for you. Once you call that, we have to now do everything in our power to keep you safe, keep you alive, and keep you free. Lord forbid you get shot and killed. We failed. We didn't do everything to save you.
Just another stop on the mission to eliminate crime in York by building trust, one person at a time.
My community sees me in the streets. My kids see me in the streets. Have conversations with them, not just about what they're doing wrong. Let's talk about what they're doing good. One of my biggest things I like to do, give them a hug. A lot of these young men and young women, they're not getting hugs. Give them a hug.
There's no feeling like when a boy climbs his first bike.
Yeah, look, you good.
Especially one he can talk to.
Cranking, 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 cranking. Like it, go back in the puddle.
3-year-old Will Fuller Wright of Rockland knows that feeling well after his parents bought him his very first bike, one a bit more super than most. Why is Spider-Man your favorite superhero?
Because he saves buddy by catching bad guys in the net.
But last week, on Will's first day out with the bike, there was one bad guy Spider-Man couldn't avoid.
My bike got stolen there.
So we went to Walgreens and we stopped and put his bike on the sidewalk and went inside to get him a little candy treat. I said, woohoo, you made it half a mile. We came out and the bike wasn't there. And I walked up and down the length of the sidewalk thinking, because there's those big cement columns, so I thought maybe I just couldn't see it, but it wasn't there.
Security footage showed that someone did see it and took it, along with Will's mother, Liz Fuller Wright's faith in her fellow neighbor.
It was a mix of emotions. I mean, sad, disappointed, angry at the state of humanity. He's 3 years old. This is his first bike, and you don't want to think that anybody would do that.
Rockland police posted a surveillance video of the thief on Facebook to try and find the stolen bike. But what they found instead was something priceless.
I happened to put Facebook on and I saw that story about the little boy who had his bike stolen.
The woman you're hearing from is homeless and wishes to remain anonymous. She's based out of her car, which is where she was at an Oxford County gas station when she saw the news and decided to act.
What this little boy was thinking when he came out of that store with his mom and saw his bike missing, I cried. I worry about what that little boy would be growing up and thinking about the world. I went to Walmart and I purchased the one and only bike, got him the helmet, the lock, and then I took it to Rockland.
She spent what little money she had on the identical bike and dropped it off at the Rockland police station. The department's subsequent Facebook post received an overwhelming reaction, with the Mid-Coast Recovery Coalition now accepting donations for her as a means of thanks. But for Will and Liz, no amount of thanks would be enough.
I was able to give her a call, and we spoke for a few minutes, and she told me her story, and I couldn't believe it. She's not someone flush with cash, but she gave so much, so generously to a little boy she'd never met, never known, because she wanted him to be happy. She didn't want him to think that there were bad guys in the world. She wanted him to have faith in humanity.
If you were to meet this boy, what would you say?
I think I would probably just cry, to see the happy joyness in his face. And I'd probably let him know that no matter what happens in life, we go through our troubles, our ups and downs, but there's always somebody out there that's watching over us. He's never alone.
And so for Will, his first bike is now his second. And the superhero whose name it bears is also second to the real hero who showed a little boy that superheroes do exist. In Rockland, I'm James Corrigan with Maine's Total Coverage.